Welcome to this exciting episode of Tough Conversations with David Wood. And this is new in a couple of ways. We're streaming live to Facebook and YouTube. Woohoo! And we've got Lisa Cherney. I'm about to read your bio, Lisa, but first I want to say welcome. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be here. This is really, really fun. Happy Friday.
Right on. So I read through your bio before, and there really wasn't anything I wanted to edit in here. Lisa Cherney has been mentoring millionaire entrepreneurs for over 20 years. She's the host of the groundbreaking confession-based GFR podcast, which stands for Get Effin' Real, and creator of the 12 GFR commandments. In 2014, after 15 years in business and speaking on over 750 stages, 750 stages, Lisa got effing real and dismantled her successful seven-figure businesses as the juicy marketing expert. Lisa learned that just because something is successful and people like it doesn't mean you have to keep doing it. She always knew she had a low tolerance for not being happy. After all, she left a successful corporate career with companies like AT&T and Lipton at age 28. But now she knows her mission is to help soulful entrepreneurs, GFR, get effing real, so they can get out of their own way and help people and make more money. Lisa, 750 stages?
I schlepped to every podunk place to speak within a 50-mile radius of my house in Southern California. And then I widened it to the neighboring cities. And I just made it my mission because I love to speak. So yes.
Wow. Well, you've got street cred in my eyes. There.
Thank you.
Doing 750 talks and coaching millionaires. I want to let people know we are going to talk about Get Effin' Real, and you probably won't hear swearing. You won't hear the F word, but we're going to allude to it a lot. And Lisa, would you tell me why are you putting the F-bomb in your branding? I'm guessing that's not an accident and that's intentional.
It's super intentional and so true to what we're talking about today about being real. And so the first expression of me being real and to an nth degree is the authenticity of my brand. But it was because it's birthed from a really true intention about helping people get out of their own way. And, I've been doing this for so long and mentoring 6 and 7 figure entrepreneurs for 20 years and over long periods of time. And I just kept seeing no matter how much sales and marketing and leveraging and systems and blueprints and formulas and things that I would teach them, there was always this underlying and really conversation that was in the forefront that prevented them from really creating what they wanted to create. And when I was deciding to kind of reinvent myself, because y'all, it's okay to do that because we are evolving, so our missions evolve, I realized, you know what? I really want to just focus on that front end piece, the piece that is preventing people from moving forward. And when I did some soul searching and some journaling, I realized that there were 12 things that I kept hearing over and over and over again, and advice that I kept giving over and over and over again. And that became the 12 GFR commandments. But just saying get real commandments, or for my show, just saying get real, it just was not strong enough. It wasn't urgent enough, and it wasn't activating enough. And that's right. A lot of what the F word does.
I like that. And I noticed we've got some viewers live. If you guys comment, we can see it and even throw it up here in the live feed. It's pretty awesome. So, feel free to say hi from wherever you're watching from. I like that. I've been talking about Get Real for a long time, and I've got an app called Get Real. And I don't think that I had the chutzpah. I've never used that word before.
Well, and I already use Yiddish, so we're already in there. I said,
right. You know what? I wasn't being real. What I wanted to say is have the balls to do it.
Nice.
But then I edited it because I want to be politically correct.
And that's our very topic.
Yeah, right. So I've wanted to say, sometimes I will swear, and I've got clients corporate clients, executives, and I'll say, "Are you offended by swearing?" Because I notice I'm editing. And most of them are like, no, not at all. And I'll say it because I want that emphasis. so that's one of the things that drew me to you. And I got to say, I have respect and admiration that you were willing to go there, because I'm still a bit chicken. I want people to like me and approve of me, and I'm worried I'm going to lose a bunch of listeners. And I think that is our topic today. This is exactly what we're talking about.
Absolutely. It's true. And the authenticity can really weave a web through our life and our business. And I believe it creates a clog. And that's what the GFR mission is about. More impact, more money, more fun, because we are eliminating all of the static, the clogs, the hidden things that keep us small.
All right. So I invite you to challenge me personally on this.
Happy to.
on this interview. I'm hearing that not getting effing real is clogging my forward progress. It's blocking my forward progress. So what's an example? Would it be not using the F word when I use it? Is that an example of where I'm not effing real and it's clogging my progress?
Well, I have a great diagnostic tool for getting real, and it is these 12 GFR commandments. Mm-hmm. And number 3 is perfect for the situation. So number 3 is don't worry about being normal, proper, or polite. Now, each commandment has a confession question. And the confession question for number 3 is, where am I not speaking my truth? And it's just so it's so confronting. If that's yours, these aren't 12 steps. You don't do them in order. You don't do them all. You read the confession questions and you see which one hits you in the gut. Right. And so when that one's the one for you, it just lands like shit. You kind of feel like you're being called out. And so, that's what I would say. That's where I would challenge you. I was like, where are you not speaking your truth? And just when we ask ourselves that question and we have that feeling of darn it, we do feel like someone called us out. I feel like that means that we're ready to be called up and be authentic in a new way, even if it's scary.
What are some examples of some things that we might not be showing to the world? Some things we're hiding where we're not actually being real?
Well, many of us have had significant experiences in our lives that shaped us as human beings. And if you are a mission-driven person in your business or your life, you could be in corporate, but you're you feel like I'm walking my talk here. I invite you to look at some of those experiences that you haven't shared directly. Like maybe you're a recovering addict like me. Food was my thing. I was in a 12-step program for 15 years. That was one of my very earliest secrets that I was, I remember telling my current husband, who now I've been married 25 years, on our 3rd date, and I was terrified. But that brought us closer, right? So think about some of the things in your life that have made you who you are that you haven't directly shared, and pick something. And it's fascinating, just as an experiment, to share authentically about, an abortion you had, or, a debt that you had, or, so you were mean to somebody and a bully in high school, or, and these are the things that we talk about on my show, because once it's out there and we start to normalize these things, it heals the whole freaking planet. Suicide and committing suicide and suicidal ideation is so freaking common that it scares me to even think about it. And I've gotten to know it more and more. So that's where I'm coming from.
I'm scanning my life as you say that. One of the things that drew me to you is I listened to a podcast episode, and guys, I recommend you go and subscribe to Lisa's podcast, which is Get Effin' Real. And you did a rant. It was like a 20-minute episode where you just said, this is me.
It was called Who the F is Lisa Cherney?
Yeah. And, I'll tell you, at the beginning, I was thinking, this is kind of self-indulgent. She's just really just talking about who she is. But then I started to really see the value for me, and I think for the listener, is that you were revealing things that a lot of people wouldn't reveal, and being straight about with your addiction and different things. And I'm like, I want to do an episode like this too, and say, I might call it pulling back the curtain, because we do a lot of identity management on Facebook and in our lives, and just show the shiny bits. And you're like, no, I want you to know all of this. So I started scanning my life, and I was thinking, all right, my sister dying and how I shut down. And I've been dealing a lot with anxiety and depression for a lot of my life, and insomnia. And so I know a lot about that. And I've spent the last 20 years pushing myself to more and more transparency. Let's let everybody in with what's happening so we can be together with whatever it is. And I'm guessing, would you say that by doing that, you will attract the right people and repel the wrong people?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I mean, I had our colleagues, our trusted colleagues, really pushing back on me when I told them what I was doing and what I was calling it. And they said that, first of all, they said, it looks like you're trying too hard. Like I'm trying to be salacious. They said, you're going to turn people off that you maybe you're meant to help. And some people were just really offended by it. And it did cause me pause, David, I will admit, but I feel like that was the gauntlet, part of the gauntlet that I needed to walk through in order to hold space for this mission. And ultimately I decided like, it is authentically me. Like my husband says, it's part of your jersey, it's fun for me. And I knew that it was activating. I was being very intentional. It was not a marketing gimmick or anything of the sort. And then I realized that it was just pushing other people's buttons and their hangups. And that was okay. I was okay doing that. Wow.
I'm interested in the cost. I was joined to Steve Pavlina years ago, and he's a wonderful man. He's got a blog, and he was getting millions of hits a month. I don't know what he's getting now, but he would share everything, it seemed. He was in a relationship and he got a sex slave, and he'd share about that. I'm like, dude, you're never going to be on Oprah. You do something like that. And then he gets nominated and voted into the Transformational Leadership Council, which, there's some conservative people on that council and some big names, famous authors. And I'm like, he got it anyway.
Right.
He didn't. I thought he'd be paying a cost of not getting into that, but maybe that's why they wanted him, because the guy was so transparent. So when I share about fatigue, anxiety, and depression, there is a cost. I've had a couple of friends and colleagues say, if I refer you to someone, are you really going to be able to show up? Because you've got these health issues. Are you going to be solid enough? And, it's a fair question, and I've gotten to address it with them, but it's like, I'd kind of rather.
That's the magic. So I'm going to interrupt you because that's the magic, is that they asked you the question and you got to answer it. And in that moment, it was the most pure, authentic connection with that other human being that was referring, and they got to share their fear. And then you got to be 100% transparent, and you got to actually answer in the affirmative. And so I feel like this is actually the antidote to imposter syndrome, which is a freaking epidemic. So you don't have to pretend. You're not pretending to have all your stuff together. You get to say, you know what? Thank you for asking. I appreciate your sharing your concern, because that's an awesome moment, and then you get to really check in and be like, yeah, no, I think I can handle it. And if I can, I'll let you know. And now it's all copacetic, and no one is pretending on either side. And to me, that is freaking beautiful. And that's what creates greater impact for us.
That's so true. It did get handled. They said, we've got a concern. And I said, all right, I've looked at that. And I show up more than the average person.
Right.
Because some people get sick and they just can't show up. I don't tend to get sick. And even when I'm feeling really lousy, it seems I'm still able to show up. But where I may not show up is if you want me to travel around the country and fly to different things. That's hard for me.
Great. You know your limits, and it's so beautiful to just own that. And of course, you're giving people permission. That's what I think the Get Fucking Real mission does. Is it gives people permission to be themselves, to say the things, to be the things. And then of course, if you're an entrepreneur, it's going to attract you the perfect people. If you're in corporate, or it's going to get you the best friends, like it's all around going to create a bubble around you of people that know you, and you will feel seen.
Wow. I love it. You're preaching to the choir. I've heard you say that turning people off can turn you on. Can you speak to that?
I mean, I think we really did speak to that, and it's such a fun way to put it, is that it's okay that there are some people that may be repelled right? That will be turned off. And that's magical, because the converse is that it means you're turning the right people on in a big way. I used to say, a spoonful of your ideal clients is a bucket full of money, back in the day when I was doing all the webinars and doing all the launches, which I don't do anymore, because there is some potency and realness and profitability around attracting the right customers, the right clients, the right friends, the right spouses, and on and on and on.
So you'll turn some people off, you'll repel some people, but you'll draw the right people.
And you will be seen. So you'll be turned on because you will be seen. And, so many people talk about feeling like an imposter or being waited to be, found out. And, I talk about it so often with people. And I had an aha recently, David, that the more that we're willing to confess the things and come out of hiding with things, the more we're going to be seen. And then I feel like there's imposter syndrome is gone because we're not being an imposter.
And that sounds like a road to healthy self-esteem and confidence to me. It sounds like the path. The more we can, hey, see me, this is all of me, and then I come to terms with that as that happens. At least I'm seeing me, as Byron Katie would say.
Yes.
I'm seeing me, I'm being me, whatever other people do. I do want some people to like me and pay me. That'd be great. That'll happen. But I'm seeing me. I love it. Lisa, anything else you want people to know about Get Effin' Real before I ask them how they can find out about you?
I would say that the intention of my show is to constantly create a diet of motivation and authenticity and realness. So if you're needing that, make sure you have it, whether it's my show or David's show or anybody's show. You make sure you have a constant diet of a conversation that gives you what you need to know that you should keep going. Because I think sometimes we just gophers over our head, and should we even keep going? And so get what you need to help you keep going. And if this is resonating with you, definitely come check out the podcast, download the GFR commandments, because they're super fun, and that will really help you get into the conversation with yourself first.
Love it. And I realize I do have another question that I need to ask before we wrap up. I want to know, is there a limit to this? Like, when do you decide I'm not going to share that deep, dark secret that I killed someone or that I cheated on my partner, or I'm not, like, is there a time not to share when perhaps the cost might be too great?
Someone just asked me that yesterday on another show, and, my authentic answer, I believe, is that there isn't. And in the 12-step program, one of the steps is about sharing your secrets, and they say you're as sick as your secrets. And I totally believe that. So, I'm not saying to post it in Facebook, but for sure, write it in your journal. First let it be in your head. That's the first step, then write it in your journal, then maybe tell one other person, I don't think there is anything that we should ever keep to ourselves and not share. If we are wanting to grow and evolve. So that would be the caveat.
Wow. Okay. What just happened for me is it went from black and white to shades of gray. And I can see now that it's a matter of how far will you go with each truth? And maybe for some things, you're like, I'm willing to share that with the world. I will reveal it on Facebook. I think that's wonderful. There might be other things you're not ready to do that. And the cost might seem too high. So maybe you journal it. You start with yourself. And then maybe you'll reveal it to your partner or a trusted friend. And I've done that with some things. I will share it with a friend in context when we're related, but I won't post it publicly because I don't have the relatedness with that audience, and I don't want all the flack that comes from that. So you get to choose with each thing. I love that. You just helped me come up with a clearer model. You decide how far, and I think you're suggesting we're probably not going far enough with a lot of these things.
That is what I'm suggesting. And when I was talking about this on the other show, I said, there's extremes of saying, everything and hurting all the people and being totally salacious. And then there's the hiding. And I feel like we're not even in the middle. So that's all I'm saying is let's just begin to move the needle even somewhere in the middle.
Right. So subscribe to Lisa's podcast, listeners. If I'm not already, I'm going to subscribe. I'm making a note here because I need a jolt of this in my life and a reminder to continually Get Effin' Real. And
Oh, and the
link,
GFR Commandments URL, I forgot to say that.
yeah, the link.
That's gfr.life/12 as in 12C as in commandments. So gfr.life/12C.
Right. GFR, which is short for Get Effin' Real. GFR.life. It was interesting. I have a very similar URL, gfr.life/12C for commandments.
Yes.
Lisa, thanks so much for being on the show.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Now we'll do the second episode.
Yay.
So yeah, for our viewers who are watching, we're breaking this up into 2 episodes, and great to see you guys. And when we start this episode, if you want to jump in with a comment, I should see it here in the control room, and I can even flash it up on the screen. So feel free to say hi once we start the episode. And I won't read out your bio again, Lisa, so we'll just jump straight in with welcome everyone to this round 2 of Lisa Cherney on the Tough Conversations with David Wood podcast. Lisa, welcome to the show.
Thanks. So happy to be back.
All right. And we're recording these back to back. So for us, it's only been seconds.
Oh, shoot. You just revealed our secret.
Yeah, that's right. And on the last episode, if you listeners, you want to go and find that, we talked about Get Effin' Real and how to really, firstly, become aware of who you are and the things that you're hiding and not sharing with the world. And then looking at, are you willing to share them with yourself in a journal, and then maybe with friends, maybe with your partner, and then maybe ultimately with potential clients and the world. So go and grab that episode and listen to it. And Lisa, this time we're going to talk about getting on your soapbox. And this is for anybody. Well, who's this for? Who's this episode for?
Anybody who wants to make a change in the world or impact people's lives, help them in a certain way. I call that your soapbox. And it's gotten a bad rap, so we're gonna give the soapbox a new PR positioning today.
Well, the reason I was interested in doing this episode with you is I'm kind of shy about my soapbox, and I'm one of the most outgoing. I speak a lot, and I'm a bit shy sometimes about, hey, I want to offer you a session. I think it'd make a difference for you. Or, hey, I want to coach you. And so I'm interested in that. Do you come across a lot of people who are shy about getting on their soapbox? What holds us back?
So what I'm hearing you say is that you're seeing your soapbox or sharing your soapbox, a key piece of it for you is to really offer your services or your gift directly to somebody. So that's, I think, a piece of the soapbox. And then, another piece, which I don't think you're shy about, which is why I was surprised where you were going with that, is just sharing your ideas and your thoughts and your philosophies and, your expertise. So I don't think you're shy about that, but I'm hearing you
true.
Really acknowledge that, I share it, but I'm shy about really directly offering help to somebody.
Yeah, that's true. I will. If it's in a conversation, I'm not shy about sharing my ideas. I might check for permission. But when it comes to, hey, I think coaching will be awesome for you. Do you want to try it out? Or, even I'm a little bit shy in gifting sessions to people because there's part of me that's like, we might get to work together long term, and I want to hold open the possibility for that, but I don't want them to feel like I'm trying to sell them or it's awkward. So that whole thing, I feel like I'm not quite soapboxy enough.
Yeah. Well, this is great because I think it leads into something I've been recently talking about, kind of cutting edge of my thought leadership. It's something I'm calling unmentoring. And I believe that there's a generation of us entrepreneurs, mission-driven folks, passion, purpose-driven folks that really, got on the mentor bandwagon in a good way. Like for me in 2009, I hired my first mentor. And that year I tripled my income. I can go on and on about how impactful that was for me because I didn't know how to get clients when I speak. And I didn't know how to sell. There were skills that I needed. And I feel like there's a lot of people that did the same. And then now I feel like there's a generation, I'm calling it the unmentored generation of mission-driven entrepreneurs that are not loving their business, and they know and they think that they need another mentor because that's what we know to do, is to get that help. But nobody's resonating with us, which is frustrating and disillusioning, and we are not having fun. And so what I feel like I'm hearing from you, David, is like you're getting so caught up, as we do, in all the strategies and the process and the formulas and the blueprints that we learned about selling and speaking and making offers and doing all this stuff. And it really created a lot of static where we don't really know what our authentic expression of that is. And so for me now, I just did a unmentoring town meeting the other day. You can go to unmentoring.com to get the replay. And I didn't have a structure. Like, I was like, you know what? I just want to talk about this stuff with people that want to talk about it. And I'll do some hot seats and coaching. And, and I gave a URL if you want to know more, but it was like my way of making an offer. And, I can't even say that word, the L word. It's like, I was just doing a campaign and I just sharing some thoughts. And yeah, do I want to get clients? Yeah, it would be nice, but absolutely the perfect right ones. So it's not a quantity thing. And so there's a lot of unprogramming that has to happen, I think, at some point when you're in that unmentoring phase, because you need to return to yourself, your own trust, your own compass, learning how to say no to things that don't feel good, clients that don't feel good. And it's like a whole nother approach to business, when we are kind of entering that new generation.
So I'm hearing that many of us have fallen out of love with our business and our message, perhaps, as we get caught up in the details. I've got to do this. I've got to do this outreach. I've got to call 20 people, right? It's a task. It's a thing to do. Someone suggested to me recently, feel good before you pick up the phone. Like, feel good about it. Find a way to feel good about this call and having it. Don't do it as a thing to do. And you're suggesting that we need to unlearn some of these things and these structures that might be able to serve us. But if we're a slave to them, we've fallen out of love, and we could perhaps fall back into loving our business and loving our message and loving the impact that probably drove us in the first place.
Yes.
There's a reason I'm not a Wall Street banker. That's where I go to make money. Yeah. I become an investment banker and I'd probably be great at it, but I don't want to do that.
No. And the key distinction is when I believe when we're truly on a mission, like I will feel like my life was not fulfilled if I don't do this thing, right? If you're that person, this applies to you. I believe that our work, our expression of our mission, is actually our healing journey, right? And I want people to listen to this in a different way. So I'm not saying you teach what you need to learn. It's not that. This is like the very act of walking out your mission and eyes wide open to all of the ways, the stuff that it brings up for you. When you really lean into that, it actually evolves the mission. So it's this kind of, infinity loop of your own personal healing and your work fueling each other. And that is a key distinction of unmentoring. It's not about getting over your fears or just following the blueprint or learning from someone else's success. It's like, no, okay, now I actually need to be my own best student. Of course, there's a GFR, Get Fucking Real commandment for that, which is make yourself your most important client. It is taking it to a true art form. And that's what I love to do now with people when I get to work more closely with them, is just like, oh, you're struggling? Let's see how your own work can help you here, and maybe how you even want to evolve your own work, to create a new solution for you that you then create for others, because that will evolve your work in the process and you.
How does this apply to people who have a job? Let's say they don't identify with, I've got a mission in the world to impact the world. Can people who, live in corporate land also get on their soapbox? How would that work?
I love that you asked that. And my husband, who happens to be upstairs from me right now, because he doesn't work on Fridays, works a 4-day work week, is in the biggest corporate of corporate America, a trillion dollar company. And he practices being on his soapbox, because if he can't be his authentic self in his work environment, his professional job, he feels like a part of him is dying. Like he just can't do it anymore. And he exited corporate and went back. And, when he went back, he's like, I'm doing this in a completely different way. I must say the things. I must call people out. I must, give the suggestions, even if they're crazy. So absolutely, I think that you can claim your soapbox, shout from the rooftop, and at least feel like when you put your head on the pillow at night that you attempted to make a difference. I think so many of us are sort of we've kind of gotten it beaten out of us, and we've sort of are in a resignation mode, nothing good comes from that.
Okay, so I was originally thinking this episode is about how to proudly jump on your soapbox, but now I'm realizing it's also about building your soapbox. So if you work for a job, you're in a job and you feel like you don't have a mission, you can create one.
Totally.
I'm going to impact people with authenticity every day. I'm going to have people feel cared for and like they matter. That could be it. You just pick any value and have your own personal mission, which is going to do good things for you, I believe, ultimately. I want to give a shout out to a couple of viewers just joined us. We got Bronwyn viewing from Australia, and we got Bridget from Boulder, Colorado. So
awesome.
Welcome. Can you give our listeners 3 practical steps for people who they feel like they have a soapbox? They're like, all right, I think this is my soapbox. I want to do this in the world. 3 tips that they can follow so that they can be more proudly sharing their values with the world.
Yes. And I always go to the GFR commandments because they're just so universally handy. So the one I think is most relevant to soapbox is number 6, which is have faith in yourself and your mission. And of course, and you could insert mission with where you are in corporate, your mission as a parent. I know I have a strong mission as a parent. And then the confession question that corresponds with that one is, what would I do differently if I had faith in myself and my mission? So step 1 is ask yourself this question. What would I do differently if I had faith in myself and in my mission? And, I have a community called the GFR Squad, and we do a call each month, and it's confession themed. Each month is confession. And when we got on the phone to talk about this one, or Zoom, I was surprised because I thought people would be like, oh, I would open up that store, and I would, and they were like, no, I would actually stop stressing so much and I would stop second guessing myself, and I would share more freely about what I'm doing, and I wouldn't worry about what people think. So it was interesting, what would I do differently if I had faith in myself and my mission could be just how you would show up differently if you truly had faith. And of course, I love Byron Katie, and it's so Byron Katie-like, right? It's like you try it on and really feel into what would I do differently if I was acting from a place of faith with my mission. And so, step 1 is to look at that from just how you would show up differently. And then step 2 would be, what actually would you maybe put out there or do in terms of a business, or maybe shift or change your business? Because y'all, I gave up a 7-figure business in 2014, and one of the best things I ever did. So I would say that step 1 and step 2, David, is to ask yourself that question from 2 different perspectives.
Yeah, I like that. How would I show up? Start opening new pathways in the brain. If I was doing this, fake it till you make it. And what would step 3 be? Is there a third tip?
Yeah, the third tip would be to ask yourself, what would I say? What would I say if I wasn't worried about what anybody thought, or that I would get in trouble, that I would turn anybody off? What would I say if I took off any filter? What would your soapbox sound like? And I've had my clients do this writing exercise, and it is magical. I don't know what happens. There's a gateway that opens up, and they just start saying all the things. And then we look at it, and we can pull stuff out for their marketing and their branding and their positioning and their campaigns. And they stand out, and they sound juicy, and they sound, unique, because it's just coming. that's our uniqueness, is just being really real. And so that's been super fascinating to me.
Okay, so what would it look like if I had faith in myself and my mission? Who would I be calling? Who would I be speaking to? What would I be doing? What would I be publishing on social media? How would I show up?
Yeah. How would I feel? How would I feel in my day-to-day, life and business if I really had faith?
Wow. So that just had me think of 2 days ago. I had goosebumps and tingles and felt warm in my whole body when a school principal asked me to come to her school and transform the culture of her 60 teachers.
Wow.
And help them lean into tough conversations so they can model it for each other, parents, and the kids. And we're talking about filming it so we can create a media piece to inspire schools around the world to do the same. And I was like, and she's all lit up and I'm lit up. So that's how I would feel, having faith in myself and my mission. And then I like, for people who can't see this and they're just listening, Lisa's nodding and she's smiling, big grin on her face, and we're both lit up here. And then next question, what would I say? How would I speak if I had no filters? And
yes.
I love that. I'm running through my own life. Like, I try and be very, I'm transparent to the point that I'm willing to be transparent. And I am clear on, if I had zero filters, what I would say. And I've looked at it, because part of me is like, David, you should share everything with the world and you should take the consequences of everything. And I've realized sometimes it's like, yeah, like a friend of mine said to me recently, David, you have a right to privacy. I'd never considered that. I get to choose. As we talked about in our last episode, you get to choose how far you're going to go. So just because you ask yourself the question, what would I say if I was completely unfiltered? It doesn't mean that you'll choose to go that far. I'm hoping you'll increase your unfilteredness by at least 30% out of listening to Lisa today.
I love that intention. Yes.
That's my hope. Increase it 30%. Doesn't mean you have to go the whole way.
Everything would just be so much more interesting. Like, people, and we have GFR Squad and we confess the crap out of our lives. And like, it's just so interesting. People are so interesting. We're so varied and flawed and insecure and secure. And we won't even hide that. So I feel so blessed that, that I created this community and movement around me where people say shit. I really want to hear all the things. And I feel so honored when people even message me, David, and they're like, can I just share something with you? I need to confess it. I'm not ready to confess in our group yet. Can I just confess it to you? And I just feel like so honored.
Beautiful. So Lisa, is there anything else you want our listeners to know about getting on your soapbox and sharing who you are and who your values are with the world before we tell them where they can find out about you?
I would say be mindful of the help that you choose to bring into your world. So if you feel like, oh my gosh, I am not owning my soapbox, I totally see how I could just blow the lid off it and, and say more of what I want and attract more of what I want. Awesome. And if your current life is in your current business or job is not aligned with that, and it almost makes you feel like, oh, like I hate it even more now, I would say just like breathe it in, take a breath, and really know that you're just entering like a new phase, a new season. And I think, one of the principles of unmentoring is that you're done trying to prove yourself, right? When we're in the mentoring phase, we're like, I need credibility and I need to, show I know my stuff. Just know that you're done proving yourself. You have arrived. You're done proving yourself. And now you get to decide how you're going to show up. And check out those GFR commandments at gfr.life/12C12C. So that's one place. And then go to gfr.life/unmentor. And you can get more information about that and see if that resonates with you, because people are finding a lot of relief in knowing, oh, good, I don't need another system. I need to actually find, just like get closer back to me.
Wow. I want to give a shout out to Michael Cooper, who's just joined, and David McElwain saying hi from Calgary. If you need a meditation room and meditation equipment like a cushion and a stool, then you want to go and go to Bali and Beyond.
Nice.
I think it's barleyandbeyond.com. So there's a plug to David McElwain. See, it pays to listen to this show.
It does. It does.
Something you just said really wowed me. Byron Katie has talked about letting go the need for approval, but I love this tweak on it, which is you're done. You're done proving yourself.
I have arrived.
You got this far. You have arrived. So there's another question we could ask ourselves. If I'm done proving myself, how do I show up in the world? So that's beautiful. Lisa Cherney, we have been getting effing real right here. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
You're welcome. This was a blast.
Woohoo! All right, I'm going to end the broadcast.